The wraps are really good. Everything's had a chance to cool down and marinate. The flavors are awesome. Hello, howdy, and welcome back to my kitchen. And welcome to another Sourdough Saturday. I'm Catherine, the Aerogarden Homesteader. Today I have a couple of things planned, but I am going to get started on some sourdough tortillas. So this is my first time trying this. I'm just kind of modifying the recipe that I did last time, which I can link above if you just want a regular one. And I'm just going to add in some sourdough and see what happens. So I've seen a couple of other recipes where they look really similar to mine and they're just adding in sourdough, so I'll give it a try. It's always nice to be able to just modify your own recipe and make it work. So, starting with 3 cups of flour. Hopefully I counted that right. I need 2 teaspoons of baking powder. 1 teaspoon of salt. Give that a quick little combine, and then I will cut in the lard. So I have 1/3 of a cup of lard. So let's see if we can get this out. Feel free to use something other than your hand. You gotta get your hand in there at some point. I guess it depends on if you're going to use a mixer or not. I don't tend to use mixers for doing the tortillas because I'm still not that familiar with how the dough is supposed to be. So it's kind of nice to just get my hands in there and make sure I get the right water content. Because last time I did add in a smidgy bit too much water. So I do have a little over a cup of water, hot water from the tap, over here waiting to be added. So I don't know how wet the sourdough will make the overall dough, but I want to make sure I have a little extra dough, a little extra water handy just in case, but I will be also trying to add the appropriate amount. So I got like 1.25 cups here just in case. And we'll see what happens. Okay, so cut it in until most of it is kind of incorporated into the dough in small, like, you want it like oatmeal chunks. We're not making dough here. We're not making pie crust. We're making tortillas. So it's a little different. I'm going to add the sourdough and the water at the same time. I think it will be easier to get the sourdough in the flour if it is mixed with the water. So, and some of the incubation time and some of the rise time will depend on your personal needs. If you need the flour to be broken down more, you have to let it sit more. But if you can handle gluten and all that, then just go ahead and do what you need. Just let the rest times be on the minimal side. So, the sourdough that I'm using is a mix of freshly fed and discard. So I kind of wanted to have some of it on the fresh side, but I also wanted to use up some of my discard. Yeah, that feels a little dry. Add a little more. So I try to just add the water to where the actual wet stuff is, because it's a little easier to get it all in. Okay, so it is starting to come together, but it's still a little dry on the bottom. I don't know if you can see the dry on the bottom, so add just a little more. Okay, and then it's just a matter of kneading it for 10 minutes to bring it together. So I think I have the right amount of water at this point. Going. So it does feel a little different from a non-sourdough tortilla recipe. It doesn't feel as, I don't know how to describe it, it's not as Play-Doh-like. So, okay, I'm just going to have to work this. Might have put in a little too much again. I think the texture is off too. You want to knead this for at least 8 to 10 minutes. You want it to be nice, smooth, a lot less sticky. So right now, it's not too bad in the sticky department, but it's definitely not smooth. Okay, it has been 10 minutes. Dough has really come together. It actually feels the way it should, even though it started off feeling a little different. You can see it's really come together. It's not sticky, it's mostly cleaned my hand off. So this is exactly what we want. So I will let this rest for probably a couple of hours, and then I will do the pre-shaping, make them into the little balls, let it rest a little longer. You can rest this up to 24 hours. Kind of depends on the benefits you want to get out of it. So, put a little bit of lard on top. This prevents it from drying out, prevents it from sticking. Get it all over. There we go. And it will just rest. I'm not expecting it to rise. I don't need it to rise, but I do need it to rest to get the benefits of the sourdough. Because what's the point of using sourdough if you don't want the benefits from it? I mean, I guess if you really like the flavor, but I'm not going for flavor, I'm going for benefits. So I will let it rest for a couple of hours at least. I would like to rest it for longer, but hey, I started it kind of late, so it happens. So I'll bring you back when it's time to shape. While my tortilla dough is resting, I am going to get moving on to the stuff I'm going to use to fill it. So I brought up the stuff in the Bounty. This is the kale from the Bounty. These were the ones, these leaves came from the one that I trimmed the top on. There was a little bit of yellowing on some of the leaves, but it wasn't too bad. These are the ones that, I don't know why, but they're less curly. Really weird. So I won't be using those because I have plenty. I think I need to cut this out. This will be a wilted kale salad, and I just want to cut up these bigger leaves. It says to hand tear them, but you know what? There's so many of them that I'm just going to do it this way. Now it calls for 6 cups. I have no idea how many we've got here. I'm not going to measure it out. This is just, we're just going with it. So I brought up all of the kale. So we'll see how much I end up with. Probably ending up with a bowl that is too small. So I used to make a salad similar to this a long time ago, and I was looking at the recipe that I found on my computer, and it's really weird. The recipe didn't sound familiar at all. So I kind of went and found another one online that sounded good as well, and I'll just kind of put them together a little bit, but basically it just calls for like salt to wilt down, and then just basically make either a creamy dressing or a vinaigrette dressing with lemon juice, and you're good to go. It will need some marinating time so that it can continue to wilt down and make it a little easier to eat. What do you think? You think that's 6 cups? This one calls for a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, but mine called for more, so we're going to put in a little bit more. I think part of the reason is that this one calls for the lemon juice up front, versus the other one calls for the lemon juice in the dressing. So I guess we'll see. This for a 1/4 cup. Once this wilts down a little, I might make a decision to add more kale to it, because I get a lot of kale. Okay, and then it's just massage it down until it looks really wilted, and they said it's supposed to have like a cooked appearance. It should look cooked. I don't think this is enough salt, but probably should have used fresh lemon juice, but I don't have any. But I do see a few where it's mostly stem, so I'm going to take those out. That's just all stem. I can really feel that it's softening up, except for those stem bits. I can really feel those, so it's probably best to do a better job de-stemming than I did if you choose to make this salad. I guess in theory you can put any vinaigrette you want on it once it's been wilted down. Okay, I would probably not use the stuff in the harvest. I'll just go and plug that back in. I did bring it up, but I'll just plug it in, leave it up here for a couple days, and maybe once this one's gone, I will start another one. I'll clean my hands up and finish the dressing. Okay, calls for 3 tablespoons of olive oil, some garlic, and whatever toppings you want to put in. Calls for 3 tablespoons. There you go, 3 tablespoons of that. put in some garlic powder. And I think I will put in a little bit more salt because I don't believe that that's going to be enough salt. It's probably good to start with less than have too much, but I'm going to put a little pepper in too because pepper's good. Yeah, you get a spoon, give that a stir. Make a big mess. Okay, I'm not too concerned about having too many add-ins. It does call for walnuts or, you know, nuts of your choice. Because I'm going to be adding this into a wrap, and I'm going to be having other things in the wrap. So this isn't a standalone salad. This is more of a topping for my wrap. So I'm okay. As long as it tastes good, I'm okay with it not having the other bits. But, you know, having the walnuts would probably be a good addition. So I might pull some out. Let's see. How does it taste? That's pretty good. You can really taste the lemon juice and the olive oil. So I'm glad I went with the olive oil. Okay, so that needs to marinate. It needs to wilt down a little bit more and soften. So I am going to put that in a container, get that in the fridge, and I will move on to the chickpea filling. I might actually get some walnuts and put those in there. So let's do that first. Probably about a quarter cup. These are whole, so quarter cup whole, and then I'm going to chop them up, and whatever I get, I get. I don't want them to be powdered, just chopped. Now I did call for roasted walnuts, and I think mine are just blanched, partially cooked. Okay, there we go. Oh, you know what would be good in here? Craisins. I'm gonna get some craisins. There you go. A nice little touch of sweetness. Oh yeah, that looks really good. Okay, don't be afraid to change recipes. If you don't like something, don't put it in. If it doesn't call for it and you like it, give it a try. You can always try it in a bite or, you know, a little piece and see how it is, and then add it to the rest. Okay, I'm gonna get, like I said earlier, I'm gonna get this in a container, I'm gonna get this in the fridge so I can continue marinating, and then when I get everything pulled together, I will show you it all together. It's been about 2 hours, not quite, and you can see it's kind of looks like it rose up a little bit, but it's hard to tell. So what I'm going to do though, no matter what, is I'm going to divide this into 100-gram portions, and then I can shape them. So the shaping will come later. I'm going to let it rest again, but I want to get them all pre-shaped. So let's see. This might actually be, let's go for 115. I think that was the good number last time. Should be able to get a little bit more this time because the sourdough that I added will have increased the amount of dough total. Let's see if we can get 8. Nice round number 8. It looks like the magic number was between 108 and 110, and that got me 9, I believe. 10. I think I got 10. Okay, yes, I'm messing up another container, but this way they won't stick as badly. So it will be shape them and then put a little lard on them to help them not stick. I'm also going to put a little bit just in the bottom of the container here, just to help them not stick to that. Now once you've shaped them, you could probably put them in the fridge overnight and just let them go. I'm going to shape them all, then put the lard on. That way I don't mess up my lard all over the counter, lard all over my hands. Kind of only going into the container one time. Don't need quite that much. like my other recipe, you want to get it all over it, top, bottom, everywhere, just so it doesn't stick. It will make it so much easier to get them out of the container, and they won't stick to each other, which is always a bonus. Get little gobs of lard everywhere. And then, like I said, I will let this sit and rest until I'm ready to cook one off. I will probably cook one off for lunch, and then let the rest rest in the... I'll let them rest in the fridge overnight and cook the rest of them off as needed. So, just to see what the difference is between doing it quickly and then having an overnight rest. So yeah, I'll just cook the rest of them off tomorrow. The final part of my filling for the wrap is going to be a chickpea salad, I guess. I don't know what you'd call it. It's like making a chicken salad but with chickpeas, or tuna salad. So you can make whatever protein you want for your filling, but I'm going to just use up some of these chickpeas that I've had sitting around since last year. Okay, so obviously save your bean liquid for these ones if you've got good use for aquafaba. It's a great egg white substitute. So these have been rinsed, drained and rinsed. I am going to pat them dry. I don't want too much liquid in my filling, because I will be adding liquid. Okay, I'm going to give them a rough mash. I will make sure to have the recipe linked below. I am kind of just going off memory because at this point I made it a couple of times, so I kind of remember what I'm doing. But you know, at some point after you've made something a few times, it's just time to start customizing it to what you want to use it for. So I could put curry in this if I wanted to have a little bit of an Indian flair. Could put in cumin if I wanted it to be a little more on the Mexican side. So just depends on what I want for the day. So I want this to go well with my wilted kale salad. So I'm going to keep the seasonings pretty simple. I do want to make sure I have enough salt. Get some pepper. Some garlic powder. I'll put in a little bit of onion powder as well. Like I said, I'll probably keep it somewhat simple just because it will be going up against the walnuts and the craisins and all that other stuff. Put in a splash of lemon juice, and I will be putting in some mayonnaise. You can make this fully vegan if you use a proper vegan mayonnaise. I'm just using that whipped salad dressing stuff that's got a vinegary tang to it because I like the vinegary tang. Now this is why you want to have your beans pretty dry, because I'm adding in all this wet stuff and it will make for a wetter filling. So there you go. The best thing you can do, obviously, is to give this a taste and make sure the salt is on point. Did need a little more salt, but tastes really good. Okay. So, you can add celery, you can add some onion, shallot, green onion, dill pickle, whatever you have. So, I am going to use the wilted kale salad as my crunchy portion, so I'm not going to add anything else to this. But that is it. I just need to put this in a container to marinate in the fridge until it is time. I've got to fill my salt up too. I am going to roll one of these out so I can enjoy it for lunch. And I'm going to let the rest continue resting and see how they turn out tomorrow. Okay, so this is the same process I did on the last ones. I'm going to just dip in the flour, make sure I have a generous layer of flour down on the counter as well. And I just pinch it out into a larger round. And then I can start rolling it. If you keep turning it while you roll, your chances of having something round are greater than if you don't. And if you see the little flecks in there, that is the whole wheat flour I was using in my sourdough. I am currently out of the whole wheat flour, so it will just slowly convert from a mixed to a white. Now, I don't need these to be massive, but I also don't want them to be super thick or they will take a lot longer to cook. So, and I am also limited by the size of my frying pan. I have a non-stick frying pan currently on the heat. I have it on a medium heat because it's going to take me a little while to roll this out and make it somewhat round. And I don't want to heat up my non-stick. I don't like non-stick, but it's what I've got. So, but I don't want to heat it up so it's screaming hot and you know, cause problems with the, you know, the non-stick layer, because that's just not healthy either. Okay, so I think I am pretty close. Got some thin spots over here, but I do have a few thicker spots. The problem is it is starting to stick to the counter, so if it sticks to the counter, it does not move as well, and if it doesn't move as well, it doesn't roll. So every time you roll it, you're just, you see how when I roll it, it moves out? Well, if I roll it and it doesn't move out like that, then it's stuck, and it's not gonna, you're not gonna make any forward progress. So I do want to make sure I don't have excess flour on the surface. Looks pretty good. So this is the size I'm getting. It's going to be slightly more square than round, but hey, who cares? Okay. Move you over so you can see the cooking process. To put that in a pan. Okay, I did turn my pan up a little bit. It is not screaming hot, so it will cook a little slower than it did when I had the griddle out. I'm looking for a little bit of browning on the bottom before I flip it again. And then I'll put a little bit of browning on the top here, and I'll call it done. If you cook it for too long, it will get too dry, and it might get more on the crispy side. So trying to find that balance between not too much heat. There we go, a little bit of browning. I don't want too much heat, so I don't ruin my pan, but I want enough heat to get this to brown up a little bit without getting crispy. Before I flip, see, I'm starting to get some bubbles, so it's starting to cook inside. I want to make sure I don't let it cook too much on the bottom, or it will get a little too brown. I'm getting there. The bubbles are good. Okay, there we go. That is done. So I'm going to put it on a plate lined with a towel, just so it can cool off without drying out. And when it's all, I don't want it to be cold before I eat it, but I definitely don't want it to be screaming hot when I'm putting cold fillings on. So once I load it all up, I'll bring it back and I'll show you what it looks like and how it tastes. Everything turned out so well. All the flavors worked so well together, and that kale salad is delicious. I'll have to make more of it. It's a good thing because I have more kale waiting in the wings. So cooked the second day. The wraps were just as good. There was no hint of sourness from the overnight fermentation. The dough is still good. Turned out really nice. Everything else marinated really nicely as well. So yeah, you're going to get the best benefit from an overnight rest in the fridge, but you know, you do you. I hope you found this video useful. Give it a like and share so other people can also find it. And I hope you can see that it's pretty easy to just modify a recipe. All I did was took my same recipe and chucked in like a cup of sourdough, and it was easy. So give it a try. I hope you like this, and I hope I see you next time on the Aerogarden Homestead.